Here I have a painted orchid on a perfume bottle. I'm also going to show you the second orchid right here. Could you spot the difference? I know some of you may have, and some of you may not, but it's totally okay. So in this video, we're doing something a little different. I am going to show you the difference between my 6-minute flower, 15-minute flower, and 1-hour flower. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Clement, and I'm the owner and founder of Juniper Calligraphy and the Fundamentals of Bottle Painting course. I mainly work with high-end brands to do live painting, calligraphy, or engraving as a in-store service. I also teach hundreds of students through the Fundamentals of Bottle Painting course, where we mainly focus on painting quickly, so speed painting for live events. You'll get to see in the first 6 minutes what I teach my students and what I do at live events and how it can be so quickly. Following that, we're going to move into a 15-minute flower and then a 1-hour flower techniques. So there are different techniques I use for different settings, and I'll go through that as we go through the video. So right now I am using the one and done technique. This is how I can make a thin layer, and so it dries really quickly and we can finish in 6 minutes. I am also going to speed up the video so that you don't need to watch it through the entire 6 minutes. So I have it on a little bit of speed right now, basically just waiting for this layer to dry, and then I'm going to put a second layer onto it. I don't usually layer too much when I'm working on site because I need to finish very quickly, and the more layers you put, the longer it takes to dry, so I try to keep that to a minimum. A lot of the course focuses on the one and done technique, where we get 2 colors on the brush and we are basically just going over it 1 or 2 times so that you can get the shape and color of the flower, but without all of the paint globbing. Of course, I do love paint globbing, but that will come later when we have more time. So I'm going to let the video run until we get up to the 6-minute mark, and you'll see what it looks like. Okay, so as we're coming up on the 6-minute mark, you can see here we have the basic shape of the orchid. I'm just filling it in with a third color. So I had a white, light purple, and I'm filling it in with a darker purple just to make a little bit more contrast. You can tell it's an orchid, and this is something that I really like because it's done within 6 minutes. From there, it takes a few more minutes to dry and I can hand it over to the client. Now I'm moving on to the 15-minute flower and what it's going to look like. I usually don't take this long when I'm on site. If I'm going to go over 15 minutes, that is typically done for in-studio orders, which means I am working at home. I have all the time. I can just take my time, not have to worry about speed, but I can also start layering the paints on, and that's exactly what I'm doing right here. So you can see here I started putting more of that dark purple on, and it's going to look a little bit scary at first. You're going to see some very harsh lines, nothing looks blended, but that's the beauty of already having the first coat there, is that you can start layering the paints on. You can make it look really thick, and we're going to make the flower look very realistic. So I'm actually going to speed it up right here. I will slow it down right at the 15-minute mark. Okay, we're getting closer to the 15-minute mark. You can see that it's still looking like the shape of an orchid, but the colors are just so harsh. It's blobby and it just doesn't look good. So for me, I guess there's no such thing as a 15-minute flower. It's just part of the process on moving on to the 1-hour flower. So starting up again, we're going to work from here all the way up until 1 hour. I'm basically just adding more paint on, and I'm working in slow dabbing motions with a round brush. This is where I really start getting into the shadows, making the right colors, and getting into all the details. So you can see here, it's a very slow process. When I'm doing this, I'm usually having like some sort of Netflix show going, or I have some music playing, just something in the background where I can kind of like almost meditate while I'm doing this. It's so nice for me to just sit there and paint and really just enjoy the process. So you can see over there, I'm kind of wiping off the edges. This paint is semi-permanent, so if you really need to, you can wipe off the edge with some rubbing alcohol. And that's what I did to make it a little bit more even. I'm adding more white to just define the lines. I think this process is very interesting as we start getting towards the details of the flower. And please keep in mind that this is not something I do on site when I'm in store. Putting this much detail just takes way too long, and I do not want to make anybody wait this long for my flowers. So you will see the difference. You will get to see which one is a little bit more simplified versus extremely detailed. I really like both. The process is still very fun to me, but it is really all about using a different technique for the amount of time that you have and the type of setting. So, okay, right about here, you can see that I had initially made it super dark and then I made it lighter, and now I'm making it dark again. This is constant for me. This is what happens all the time when I'm painting. Like it just gets a little too light, too dark, and then you have to readjust it by making different colors. But you can see the process now. It's starting to be very nicely blended. So it's not super purple like it was before. It's kind of got a gradient going on. You have like the dark purple in the center, and then as you work out towards the petal, it gets a little bit more white, which is what I was trying to go for. Okay, so I was basically adjusting the colors all the way up into this mark right over here, the 24-minute mark. Now I am actually working on the center of the flower. So again, I'm using my round brush and I'm slowly starting to make those details, and I'm going back and forth. I'm still trying to work on blending it. And then comes time for color adjusting for the middle of the flower. There are so much different colors in there. I actually like using a lot of yellows for it. I even will put some dark blue in there. It's just a whole mixture of colors to kind of get it to be very realistic. Okay, so we're coming up on almost 40 minutes. You can see here that I'm really just color adjusting it. I really wanted to have a very nice gradient with the white on the outsides, purple on the insides, and I'm still adjusting all the colors in the center. So from here, I'm actually going to speed it up even more because I am just adjusting minor shapes, minor shadows. I'm also adjusting the light because I'm trying to film with natural light, and the sun keeps coming out and then going away. So I have to adjust the camera. It's just a lot of adjusting right now. It's nothing major, mostly just working on colors and super fine details, like all the little dots on the petals. You can see here I'm still using that round brush and just making tiny little dots. At the very end is when I create those super fine details because it needs to be on the outside. If I did this any sooner, it would have been covered up. So I wait to the very end to add every little thing, like the tiny little veins in the petals, the tiny little freckles all over the insides, the bottom petals, and on the sides. I even redefined the shadows on the edges of the outer petals. So yeah, it's sped up very quickly. And we're coming up at the 1 hour flower mark. You're going to get to see what it looked like before and what it looked after. So this is the before. Remember, this is the 6-minute flower. And here we have the 1 hour flower. Thanks for watching.